Hello, hello. Welcome back, guys. I'm Ryan, also known as the Pessimist,
And I'm Carlos, known as the Optimist.
and this is Optimist versus Pessimist, OVP. And, nerdy guys talking about nerdy things.
Relevant or otherwise.
Exactly. All right. So, speaking of relevant, we're going to be talking actually about ancient Greek pottery. Now, Carlos has a very interesting idea on why Athenian culture really influenced pottery. Now, what was that, Carlos?
Oh, I've got nothing.
Oh.
I wish I was intelligent enough to talk about such a topic.
I guess you didn't prepare, or whatever. Fine. I guess we'll talk about other things then. Disney did something.
Yeah, they did. They
Okay.
launched their streaming service.
Oh, Disney minus.
I mean,
That's what I would have called it.
oh, shade already. Shade already.
Yeah. All right. Well, what is Disney Plus? Explain.
It's basically Netflix, but for Disney properties. So everything.
Okay.
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
But we're just starting out now. So it's pretty bare bones.
Right.
Not much actually going on, really, in terms of content.
No, I was rather disappointed by what they had at launch. I didn't really get it at launch. I waited a couple days.
Right.
Actually, the first thing to talk about that I didn't care for at all is that they, instead of having like a month free trial, they had a 7-day free trial. That's ridiculous. I thought that was pretty silly that they have that, especially because they're like, oh, we're going to introduce stuff more and more like throughout the month or whatever. And it's like, well, you guys are giving us a week to see if we want it or not. And you guys have, I don't want to say nothing, but like nothing that would keep me engaged and wanting to watch their streaming service. Like I don't know, like none of the series that they have, other than I think they have Gargoyles, which is very interesting because I did like the show as a kid.
But do they have all of Gargoyles?
That's a good question.
Because what I was finding is that I would click on something, and it would be either the whole of the show is there, or only certain parts, and not even really necessarily in order.
Okay.
So, like for Spider-Man, the first episode that they have, for Spider-Man the animated series from the 90s, the first episode that they have is an episode that chronologically almost takes place in the last season, I think you said?
Oh, I think so.
And then it jumps back to the first episode. It's very, very jarring. Very odd.
I don't know. There's always been a weird thing with the animated series in general, though. Like, they never released the TV show, the complete series. You always had to buy, like, I think they released, like, 3 movies or something like that. So that one's just weird. But, yeah, design-wise, it's okay. It is kind of bland. The one thing that kind of bothers me, which is weird because at Netflix, the other end bothers me, which is like there's no sound.
Right. Yes.
It's like almost eerie going through and scrolling through things. Like there's no sound going on when you switch between things. I don't know. I don't like that.
You're missing like a satisfying click when you press on something, or that lets you know that you selected something, which is a weird thing to talk about, but it's weirdly missing too, where you wouldn't think about it, but when it's not there, it's very jarring.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't like the Netflix. I'm fine with the clicking. The one thing that bothers me with Netflix is that they have like the autoplay, where if you you hover on something for too long, it'll start playing like a preview of it. That gets really annoying.
Right.
So like, yeah, I don't know. And then like what they have offered is almost all the Disney animated movies, like all the classic ones that you think of. It has National Geographic, which was jarring to me. I guess they needed more content, so that's why like you guys. I can't even think of something on National Geographic I want to watch.
That show, according to Jeff Goldblum, is actually pretty entertaining.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's pretty much just him going around the world and learning about cultures and peoples and certain subjects where he doesn't really know much about anything, but he's a very like dynamic, very funny, charismatic kind of personality, so it's fun to watch him learn about things, and it is pretty educational too, so.
Okay.
I'm glad they have a counter to all of the various, Disney animateds and the more entertainment. They have more of like a almost educational thing with the National Geographic.
That's what it seems like, because it's all brain games as well.
It's pretty good counter programming, I have to say.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they have Star Wars, obviously, Marvel. I think that's I think that's it. I think that's literally it. So like, it takes like a minute to scroll through their entire catalog thus far. They released a couple things with it, right? The Lady and the Tramp is one of them.
That's right. Yes.
And
a couple of original shows. So the Jeff Goldblum one.
and the best show I've ever heard of, which is High School Musical. What was it?
High School Musical, the series.
Oh my gosh. They needed to find a way to put the series in there twice as well. Maybe have like doubles of every single word in there.
The argument for some fans that were kind of defending this choice is that it's an actual musical, like in the show. They're doing a musical of High School Musical, so that's why. But it's still very, very goofy of a title.
What's this?
It has the in there twice. It has musical in there twice. It's just very awkward.
Well, they should have
High School Musical the series.
Didn't it die? Isn't High School Musical dead? Why did they try to bring it back? It's not like I don't think they made the third one didn't make enough money to do anything with. And like the one thing I did notice, just as I didn't watch this series obviously, but like the one thing I did notice when I was scrolling past is that like they actually look like high school kids. Which I guess that's like that's been going on now. I guess because like you can't be like Spider-Man, the first one, where it's like everyone's 38 in high school.
And going to high school.
Yeah. So like that's good, I guess. So, but like I don't know. I guess I don't find that there's a lot of they should really add a mature area for Disney Plus where like you have to have like a parental guide or whatever. Because I don't know, all this stuff I'm like, this is all like kidsy stuff, but I want to watch something more kind of grown up-ish. Like I guess they have Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
I don't know.
Right, so maybe that's why the trial is only a week long, because they don't really even have that much stuff right now.
I mean, you could probably watch everything in that week.
In that week?
Then, all right, I'm out.
I'm done.
Yeah, I don't think it's not really worth the price at the moment. I don't think, at least.
That's fair. That would be $8.99 Canadian. So in the US they get it at $6.99, which then it's seeming a little more worth it. But
yeah. I mean, like Crunchyroll is $8,
right?
And Crunchyroll has so many anime titles, and it also has like things that are airing right now.
Right.
So like,
but still, Netflix is 12 to 14, so it's a pretty good price point for now. But I know it's going to go up, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do have to say I had I've only had this for like a day-ish, and I already had like a streaming problem. I was trying to watch a show we will be talking about later in the podcast, and this one scene, it kept freezing, speeding up, or slowing down. So I had to actually actively get out of the app itself and then restart it, because I have it on the PS4. Do you also have the PS4?
Right. I actually had it. I put it up on multiple things. So I was noticing I had the website up on my Mac. That was pretty finicky. The website was up and down depending on the day, depending on the hour.
Yeah.
And then we also have a Roku in my house, so I put it up on the Roku. And the Roku app is pretty solid. No crashes.
What is a Roku? That sounds like a...
It's just a box, like an Apple TV or whatever kind of box that you get your apps on.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right. But why are we actually here?
Why are we here? I think there was a show about a mandolin.
Mandolin?
Or was it... Oh, no, it was Commando, and that's why they call the character Mando all the time, as a reference to Commando. No, okay, we're here to talk about what? The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
The show that was the only reason to ever even consider getting Disney Plus. I guess other than Disney movies, but whatever. Yeah, we watched there's only been 2 episodes.
2 episodes. The first released on Tuesday, and the second released on Friday, but it'll be a weekly show releasing on Friday from now on.
I don't like weekly shows, but it's fine, I guess. I guess I'm just too accustomed to streaming life, where it's like everything's released immediately, and I get to watch it all right now.
Right. So up top, the biggest things in terms of just facts-wise, Jon Favreau, showrunner, executive producer, creator, he's running it.
Okay.
Then next to him, we have Dave Filoni, which is, in the Star Wars world, he's up there.
He's a rock star.
Clone Wars and Rebels and all of the animated sphere, but...
Yeah.
And then we have several directors that have been announced for the first season, because like most television shows, most episodes are shot by a different director.
What notable directors can you throw at me?
So we have Dave Filoni, who did the pilot, which will be interesting, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
Second episode was Rick Famuyiwa of Dope fame.
How long did that take you to get that last
I practiced
name?
quite a bit of times.
Of course you did, yeah.
And I might still be wrong. Who knows? Other interesting ones is Bryce Dallas Howard, who's never directed.
Really?
Who I'm very interested to see what kind of style
Is she in the show?
She brings to the table. I don't think she's in the show as a cast member. No, I think she's just
weird.
purely directing.
That's odd. Okay.
And Taika Waititi of Thor Ragnarok and Marvel fame.
He's doing another Marvel
Also
movie.
playing IG-11 in the show.
Oh.
So very
He
interesting.
played IG-11?
Very, very interesting.
Okay, cool. So obviously, actually I don't know if this is obvious, but we're full spoilers. We're gonna spoil the heck out of this
We're
show.
not even gonna do a part of non-spoilers.
No.
It's just full spoilers.
No, you don't even get to know if I like it or don't like it at all until we're just gonna spoil it. Yeah. So I guess we talk about chapter 1, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I guess I'll tell you what I like the show. I think the show is pretty good so far. I do have some problems. There was a couple problems I had, especially with the pilot. Like the pilot, the pilot feels like a Western. Like they really kind of nail that Western kind of vibe.
Definitely what they were going for.
Definitely what they were going for, sure. I don't know. Dave Filoni has a very good. He does landscape shots really well. He does a lot of. There was a lot of that in the first episode. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, interestingly enough, a lot of people say that it was kind of rocky, that first episode. Like, you could tell that he's never directed live action. I feel completely the opposite. I feel like he translated his animated style in the best way, where it really feels like how I think Star Wars is supposed to feel.
Right.
I didn't really feel that there was anything necessarily choppy or badly shot, or a lot of people are saying that it was like less cinematic, that it was maybe a little amateurish. I didn't feel that at all. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I definitely
Overall
thought
direction.
Overall direction, I thought it was cinematically quite nice. I thought, again, a lot of landscapes, a lot of the cameras way back, and a lot of character walking in the, like, I don't know. I feel like it was like a natural step for him from animated to this. And it does feel artsy because of it. I do like how the episodes end with like a painting, kind of like a specific scene in that episode.
That's right. They show the storyboards during the credits.
Yes, and I think that artistically wise, that's not the show's problem. And I don't think anyone thought that was going to be the show's problem. Like, oh, this doesn't look nice. Obviously, it looks like Star Wars. They weren't gonna. This is like their main thing for Disney Plus. They weren't gonna mess this up, at least that wise. They're gonna mess it up other ways. Don't you worry. But they're not gonna mess it up visually. And so visually, it does look like Star Wars. I am kind of tired of the whole desert versus and ice. I think we've seen enough of these kind of planets.
Right, but that's a problem with the Star Wars, the universe itself, that all the planets are of one single biome.
No, it's not even like give me more forest planets. I'm tired of like every movie has a desert planet, I think, and like ice, also ice stuff. I guess the Last Jedi was salt, which was just weird. It's called ice anyway.
It's ice.
I don't care what they have to say about that. So I think it's good. I did have a couple of problems. I think the blue guy was a bit too annoying. Like the first bounty that he deals with is a bit annoying.
Right, he's very
talkative.
Very talkative.
And he's trying to make jokes, and it wasn't landing for me. Also, the first action scene, I wasn't really the biggest fan of. It felt like maybe in that kind of sense, like maybe he's not good at action yet.
Right.
Because I didn't follow like the bar. Basically, the show starts with him going to a bar. And these guys, obviously these guys who are like beating up on some other guy. He walks in, and everyone stops, and they get mad at him because the wind knocked out his drink. Whatever dumb
People
reason.
just get mad at you at bars.
Yeah,
don't go to a bar.
Don't ever go to a bar. If everything's quiet when you open that door, you just walk out immediately because you're not. There's gonna be some problems.
Gonna cause some trouble.
So they have that. So then like the guy obviously confronts the Mandalorian, and then he just beats him up. But like I don't know, I thought it was shot weird, and I think it has to do with a lot. It has to do with the fact that they have a limit on like it's like a PG show. I've noticed throughout that it's very PG and what they show and what they don't show. So like I don't know, maybe that was one of the reasons, or maybe he's just not good at filming the action. But like the first action scene, I felt was pretty meh. Like, especially because this is supposed to be an introduction to the character himself. It's supposed to be like a badass.
Right.
I don't know. What did you feel about that first action scene?
I do agree with you about the overall. I think there's something about that where it was shot clearly, but at the same time, it seems jarring in a way.
Yeah.
But I think what really saves it is the little details.
Yeah.
So one thing I really appreciated that I think they should have done a long time ago is having aliens and even humanoids just speaking alien languages and just having it subtitled. I really appreciated that, which is why it's so jarring when the actual bounty starts to speak basic. You feel like she should have almost also been just an alien language with subtitles. It would have been a lot less jarring, and it would have taken you out of the scene less. But even just the little things, like when when he goes for his blaster and he says, "I can bring you in warm or cold." Oh, I really like that. You know what I mean?
That
Or
sounded
the
like
fact that he's using all of the various tools and weaponry that he's got on him, because we never really got that with Boba Fett or the Fetts. We see them use parts of their armor, their weaponry, but this guy really right away he's using the whip. He's using all of his various tricks and tools, which I really appreciate.
I do appreciate that they're very keeping to the whole. He's gonna keep his helmet on. I like that idea. We don't get to see that much in shows because it's like, oh, like what will happen a lot in like movies where it's like Spider-Man, or I guess a good example of this is like Spider-Man 3 with Venom. It's like I don't want to see the actor playing him. I want to see Venom. So they really understand that we want to see the Mandalorian. So they're giving us the Mandalorian in his armor, and he's sticking into it.
Right, and we're getting the culture too. With the matriarch, he goes to his tribes, wherever they're at.
Whatever
it's not
that is.
Mandalore.
No.
It seems like they're kind of like off in a different place, or maybe it's a splintered tribe, or maybe we're going to see more of that later. But it was cool. It was cool to see that they're a pretty matriarchal society, but also that the leader of the tribe is the person making the armor, because the armor is so integral to their culture, to their.
But we're kind of jumping ahead. So then he beats up the guys in the bar. He takes the blue guy, who ends up being a bounty. So
Right.
And then he takes him to the ship. I like that whole scene's whatever. Like they drive through like the snow area. But what bothered me was in his ship. The blue guy's trying to figure out a way out of the ship, and then he comes across all these people frozen in carbonite. Now, this really bothered me because if you remember in Empire Strikes Back,
I do.
when they first introduced the idea of freezing people in carbonite,
I do.
It seemed to me, now correct me if I'm wrong, that that was like a spur of the moment, like, hey, why don't we try this thing, see if this will work out? Because it didn't seem like that was like an actual technique used.
No, you're absolutely right. It was Darth Vader wanted to transport Luke, but they weren't sure if the carbon freezing was a solid way to transport people, because they weren't sure if the person would survive.
Yeah.
And then that's why they tested on Solo.
And like we don't even know, like, so like it kind of bothers me that like why did it become commonplace in that world to utilize that?
Because maybe Boba Fett told people before he got taken out.
Sure, but like,
hey, this actually works really well, you guys.
I don't know. It seemed to me like the Han Solo thing was like a specialty case. Like maybe like people die all the time in this thing, so maybe
Right.
So like I don't know. I kind of felt like it was like a weird callback. I'm like, oh, this because that wasn't what carbonite was for. Carbonite was used for something else. So I don't like that they kind of tried to bring that back in this one. I didn't feel like it fit or made sense. It just felt like a callback.
Right.
So I didn't really care for that. I did enjoy the Salacious B. Crumb getting eaten. Like he was on like a rotisserie thing.
That's right.
For those who don't know who Salacious B. Crumb is, you're not true Star Wars fans.
Kowakian monkey lizard.
Oh, you actually know that?
I do.
Oh my god.
I do. I really do.
You do like the Star Wars thing here.
Right. So I think the biggest thing in that is that they point out the fact that he has some kind of issue with droids. So if you remember, the night speeder comes up with the droid. He's like, no droids. Then a really crappy one comes up, and he actually had to pay more for that. So he went out of his way. Right.
But then that makes a little sense because then he teams up with the IG-11 for no good reason. In terms of because if he does have this huge thing against droids, why does he end up teaming up with one?
But even so, he expresses frustration that there is a bounty droid there.
I think I more related that to the fact that like he had an operation in mind, and then this other bounty hunter got in the way of that.
Right.
But yeah. So then after he gives the guy the bounty. Is that Lando, by the way?
No, that's Carl Weathers. That's
okay.
A new character. Grief Karga is the character's name. Leader of the Bounty Hunter Guild.
Oh my god!
I like that we're seeing a lot of that bounty hunter world get like explored more.
I like
their system, the pucks, the chain codes. They're really kind of going out of their way to explain how bounty hunting works in Star Wars, which is cool because it's not something that's ever really been elaborated on.
No, I like the introduction of Guild. I think that makes sense. I do like that it works. Like I like how it works, definitely. So they bring it to Grief. His name is Grief.
Grief Karga.
He brings it to Grief, and then Grief gives him some like kind of off the book job.
Now we're going to Werner Herzog.
Exactly. Oh my god! Why do you know all these names? Did you like?
No. I prepared. I have notes.
I literally just watched the show. I had nothing. This is all off the top of my head. So then, yeah, he goes and meets these stormtroopers, or he meets this guy who's leading these stormtroopers, who's like looks like a Nazi and sounds like a Nazi for some reason.
Classic Empire, baby.
I guess. So then, So then he meets we meet this guy who gives him the new bounty.
Gives him the bounty. You know, it's kind of different. It's shady. Whatever. We move on. He's going to actually go to the place where the bounty is. I really love this scene. This action sequence. I think it really sold the show for me.
The one involving those two fat like animal things that they ride?
No. The actual sequence of him attacking the bunker place where the bounty is.
Oh, okay. So you're skipping.
I am. We're moving forward a little bit here.
Okay. Well, because I enjoyed the Ugnaught. I think it's Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte.
I agree.
Great voice.
Great voice. He has spoken. Great. So yeah, we get to he gets to the compound. I always want to say IG-88 because that's the one that we know.
That's what it's supposed to be.
But why did they go down in number? Wouldn't it be like IG-102 or something? Why would it be IG-11?
I don't know. Part of me just wishes they would have let it be just Boba Fett and IG-88 because that's
kind of what they want.
They're proxies.
Yeah, exactly. So then I don't think I've ever seen because we've only seen the design.
Just seen him standing in Empire, never seen him actually move.
So it was interesting to see, it felt, I don't know, I really liked how he moved a lot.
Very cool. The spinning, the way that he could shoot multiple targets so quickly. That is totally how a bounty droid would work.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I guess we should probably take it back here for a second because we kind of forgot a huge scene where he lands on, that's Tatooine, right? 100% Tatooine.
I don't think it is. We didn't get a title card for the planet.
Which is weird. But, it looked like Tatooine because, in the next episode, which is on the same planet, there's Jawas. Or there's just Jawas on every desert planet.
Jawas could be in other planets. But
really?
A lot of people think it's Tatooine. People aren't sure.
Just say it is or isn't. Because, what, do we need another third desert planet? Unnamed desert planet for some reason? But, okay, yeah, so, he lands on a planet. He gets immediately attacked by these two... What do you say?
The Blurg.
Blurgs. That sounds like a Futurama kind of animal. Yeah, so he gets attacked by blurbs. He gets saved by an Ugnaught named... Come on. There's their names over here.
Ooh, I don't got it.
Oh, you don't got it. Named Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte.
So we have an Ugnaught named Nick Nolte who he's like, I'll help you if you learn how to ride this thing. These blurgs.
Right, he tells them that the only way to get to the encampment where his bounty is to have a blurg mount. The blurg also are a rebels thing, which is cool that he brought them in. Because I'm sure the conversation went with Favreau, oh, should they ride dewbacks? And then Dave Filoni was like, I got a better one. I got a thing.
Is it better though?
It's different. It's cool to see them in live action.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't the scene where he's trying to learn how to ride it. I'm like, right. I didn't like it. I thought it was forced comedy. Didn't like what it was because the whole idea is he's supposed to be badass, and this is kind of taking away from it. And actually, I noticed throughout the first two episodes is that he gets his ass kicked too many times for me to consider him a badass. You think about it, okay, you have he gets beat up by those things and needs to be saved by the Ugnaught.
Right.
He gets outmanned by he had to team up with IG-11 to take down all the guys to get into the thing. There's also the fact in the second episode where he gets beaten by a bunch of Jawas, and then he loses to a rhino thing as well in the second episode. He's losing too many battles, and I feel that's really detriment to his whole badass character.
Right, that's so funny. I feel it's just on the line.
Really?
Where it makes him a lot more relatable.
Okay.
It's we're seeing him day to day. So I like the fact that he's not just winning every battle. I like the fact that you see how difficult it would actually be to be a bounty hunter, even if you are really skilled.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be any kind of difficulty. What I'm saying is I don't like how he's getting beaten too many times. I don't mind him having a struggle to win something. I don't mind the IG-11 ones. I actually really enjoy that scene as well.
Right.
It's just I don't know. He's getting beaten up too many. Especially the Jawas thing. That was
You're definitely not alone in that take. I'm seeing a lot of people react, especially to that riding scene, in the same way where it takes away the badassness. I feel it stopped right before it got to too ridiculous to where he's even you know what? I don't have time for this. I'm just gonna ride whatever I can. I'm not doing this. But then Nick Nolte's but you're a Mandalorian though. Come on, guy.
Which means something, right? I guess. They're trying to bring it back after the Empire. The Empire did something to them. What did they do to Mandalorian?
The Empire occupied Mandalore.
Oh, okay.
Right, they became an imperial world, and then.
All right, so then we're pretty much reaching the end of the episode here. So they have the IG-11 team up where they just take down guys left and right, and he keeps wanting to set this self-destruct button.
Very funny, and it's the right kind of Star Wars humor, where like Last Jedi doesn't work with the your mama jokes. This kind of humor totally works.
Because that's what a droid would like. He would see like it's a zero, there's no win scenario. I need to kill myself.
Right.
I need to blow myself up. Actually, going back to that.
And also, like, I need an answer before I do anything. You need to confirm that, like, I'm going to get, half the reward and the prestige. Right. I'm not going to move until you... That's very, very droid-like.
So, I have a question about... So, like, droids, like, are these bounty droids, are they made by someone specifically and they're the ones that are receiving the money? Or are the droids doing it for money? Because I don't understand, like, the motivation there. Because the droids doesn't have any kind of need for credits or stuff like that. So, why do we have these droids as bounty hunters? I don't get it.
Right, I'm sure because they're programmed to be singular in their thinking about, I'm programmed to be a bounty droid. This is what I'm about.
But why would you have that? Is it because they're more effective, maybe?
I guess so.
Okay.
I guess so.
Because I was thinking about that. I'm like, why does this droid... Like, he's not going to get anything out of this. He just gets to complete the mission, and then that's it. And he goes on to the next one. So then...
I mean, they do take, like, oil baths, the droids, and they probably have to do, like, maintenance and buy parts. And,
I guess.
I mean, they're pretty independent after programming, right? So it seems like they would have to take care of their own. Also, I'm sure he has a ship, upkeep of bounty hunter life. Apparently, you can't even buy gas with, like, the biggest bounties, so the economy's pretty bad in Star Wars. But
when you topple down an entire empire, I think the economy's going to probably go down pretty quick.
One thing I gotta say before we move on from this scene is, like, I love the setup because it's almost like when you were a kid, right? And you had your action figures. And if you would have been able to get 100 Nikto action figures, which is the guys that he's killing in that scene. Right. I have to make up for not knowing Nick Nolte's name. I feel ashamed.
Yeah, you should be, yeah.
It's almost like when you were a kid and you would set them up and you would, have them shoot, the other guys, and there would be guys on buildings and rooftops. It just took me right back to just playing with action figures and setting. I used to definitely do that.
It looked like a scene straight out of, like, a Western film, where it's like, we're out, I think kind of reminded me of, like, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I don't know if anyone's seen that. It's a real old one, but, like, kind of like how, like, there's just so many different people trying to shoot them, and, like, it's just them hiding behind this, like, these, pillars or stuff. Like, they really nailed the Western thing for sure.
Absolutely.
So then we have the worst scene of the episode, which really made me so angry. Explain. Well, okay, basically what happens is they find out that the bounty is a young Yoda race thing. It's like a whatever. Yoda baby. And then this also was weird, before we get to why I hate Yoda baby so much.
Fair.
Is that IG-11's like, oh, we're supposed to kill it. But no, that he was very specific on we want it alive first. So I don't.
But what if he's not getting sent by the same guy?
Oh.
What if there are multiple parties interested in this?
Oh, I guess maybe you're right. But like
you're right. That was different because for him, for the IG droid, it said it was clear this is to be terminated. Yeah. Whereas the Mandalorian got different instructions. Well, so was he sent by a different party?
Maybe that's it. I guess like a rival thing, but like they were going to split the bounty. I guess they. All right, you did solve that one for me, but you can't solve why I don't like Yoda baby, which is the fact that like that was one of the best secrets in Star Wars. Is we don't need to know anything about Yoda's species. We don't need to know anything about that. But they're like, no, we have to introduce this thing, and it's like 50 years old because Yoda ages weird. I guess I don't know. I didn't like that idea. I like. Something should remain secret, and I don't like that this is gonna. It looks like it's gonna be the main driving force of this series,
absolutely.
And I don't like that. I really don't like that because I again, it should be a secret. I don't need to know anything about this.
I'm definitely torn about this.
Yeah.
On the one hand, in terms of making the show and finding a way to really hook me, it's a very, very good hook because it's interesting and it's different and it's new.
So having like a bounty hunter just doing bounty hunter things in the post-Empire world is not interesting at all?
It might have not been enough. Might have not been enough because I was really thinking, how are they going to bring the Force into it? New Star Wars has really made a point of distancing itself from the Force and being a little more about the things that don't have to do with the Force.
Why not? What's wrong with that? I prefer that.
See, I'm different. I like the mix of both, but I also gravitate more towards the Force lore, the Jedi, the Sith, more than I do the bounty hunters and the war.
But I do too, though. But like every Star Wars movie or every kind of main property has the Force in it. I was excited to be like, oh, we're gonna have a new property where it's based on like the underground scumminess, bounty hunters. So no Force is gonna be in it. So now,
right, but it seems to be it's gonna be like a mixture of both, and if they strike the right balance, I'm fine with that. And then it goes to your point, right? I do agree the Yoda species should remain mysterious. Even George Lucas, that was a huge thing for him, where Yoda is the mysterious stranger. He comes into the story, then he leaves. We don't know the planet. We don't know the history. And I don't think they're gonna reveal a species name or even a homeworld. I don't know. Maybe they will.
That's what they seem like. You have to reveal something.
Something, but not everything.
But it's still, even in having this idea, I think it's really not. I don't like it at all. And like then again, but then I was like, okay, maybe it'll be fine. But then the next episode, he's using the Force. I'm like, really? So everyone in Yoda's species is just Force sensitive, and they know how to use the Force. Basically, why do we have to have this connection? I don't like it. So yeah, so that's how the episode ends. It's really weird because both episodes have like drastically different times how long they are, and that's really jarring. I don't know if it's gonna be consistent throughout.
It's hard to say. We don't know yet. We don't know. I have a theory that these first two episodes, maybe they were one episode at first, and they were split because they wanted to do 2 episodes on the first week of that Disney Plus launched. But I'm not sure about that. I'm really not, because it might be that they are only about 30 to 37-minute episodes. A lot of people were complaining about that. They were expecting the standard, which is, for these kinds of shows, it's an hour long.
Or 52 minutes, something like that.
But that's why I think it might have been split in 2, because it feels like it could be one long episode.
Well, because it is broken up weirdly, and maybe to add to your theories, there's only a 3-day difference between these episodes, where everything else is a week. So maybe, but then again, why did you have to split in the first place? Why couldn't you just do a 2-hour premiere and push it to the 15th?
Will it be a problem for you if it's about a 38-minute length per episode, as opposed to an hour?
Well, kinda, yeah. I think so. There's less time to focus on certain elements of the show, like building up his backstory, which we kind of hinted at in the first episode more.
Right.
So then, so I feel like we need, if it wants to be that kind of like Game of Thrones level or like whatever HBO series, like I think it needs to be longer and consistently longer, and also, I would have preferred if it was at that kind of maturity level where we got up to like 14A or 18A. Maybe not.
I think it is 14.
Is it? It doesn't feel like it when watching it. Like things just disappear. People get cut in half, but you cut away from it quickly. Anything that's kind of very violent is cut away from immediately. There's no obviously I don't want like swearing. I don't want them to do what they did with Star Trek Discovery, where they introduced like a character swore in Star Trek for the first time ever. I don't want to have that in Star Wars. I just feel like it needs to be bumped up. To have that get that kind of respect level, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. So then the second episode happens, right? He tries to go back to his ship with the floating cat like thing. Is that like
floating baby carriage? Okay, so as a parent, I have to say, man, I wish that was real. That you could have a carriage that just floats, and you have a little remote on your gauntlet that it moves where you tell it to move. It would make life so much easier.
He's really
super sick.
He's really not that great at like protecting it or something. Like he keeps he'll just leave it alone. Like he'll go fight things. He'll just kind of leave it in like the corner. It's like, but it's like, what if someone else? Obviously, this thing is like really valuable. Right. Why someone else is gonna come and just swap it? So like it's
so right away from the second episode. I don't know if you could feel this, but it felt a lot more cinematic right away to me.
Really?
To where we start out. We're just walking in the desert, going back to the ship, and you see all the little reptiles, kind of. Grab their attention and kind of follow Mandalorian and Yoda baby, but then also kind of scatter away right before the Trandoshans, which are the lizard guys in Star Wars, right before they attack. So it's almost like the little lizards were getting out of the way of the big lizards.
Oh my! So like, is that the same species as Bosk?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
The Trandoshans.
See, I know names too. I just know like way fewer than you do.
Are you saying Trandoshans are like basilisks?
No.
The big ones scare off the little ones just out of respect.
What is that even a reference to?
Basilisks.
This in general?
Yeah, and Harry Potter.
I think they were trying to kind of do a reference like that.
To Harry Potter, really? Who knows?
Who knows?
Whatever.
But right away, that felt a lot more cinematic, and that fight sequence was a lot cleaner.
it was. I didn't care for it as much. I don't know.
Not exciting?
No, I don't think any of the action scenes have been quite. Other than the IG-11 shootout,
Right.
I don't have the action scenes. It's felt like kind of awkward with it when he's fighting close hand. It seems like they're able to nail the blaster stuff, but when it's hand-to-hand combat, it's not as clean. I feel like they cut away a lot. I don't know if you noticed that in that fight scene. I think they cut away, like they did a lot of cuts.
Right, but it'll be interesting. That's one of the things that's good about having different directors on every episode, because we're going to get to see different kind of action scenes shot different ways.
Yeah. So then
We get to the Razor Crest, which has been stripped by
Jawas, who apparently can be on different planets if this isn't Tatooine. I don't know. As soon as I saw them, like, okay, well, this is Tatooine. Why didn't you just tell me this was Tatooine? And yeah, they're stripping it, and he gets pretty mad, and he what is that thing called? Like it's like a riding fortress or something? Like
the Jawa Sandcrawler.
Oh my god! Of course. You know the numbers of it too?
No.
Oh
No,
okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
It doesn't go that deep.
Guess you're not.
One little thing I really liked is that they finally showed us what a disintegration looks like with that gun. When he first sees them, kind of stealing all his parts, right away he takes out his gun and he starts disintegrating Jawas, and they just disappear. They literally get Thanos snapped out of existence.
Yeah, so then he leaves Yoda Baby, which is obviously the smart move when that bounty's worth a lot of money and no one's been able to get it. So he leaves it so that he can. I guess he wants to get his parts back.
One man assault on the Sandcrawler. I mean, that's a lot of character too. We see there. We see that he's impatient.
Yeah.
That he's bold, and
yeah,
he doesn't really stop to think. He just kind of goes for it.
Yeah, that's true. So then he's trying to get up here, and they're just throwing like random parts, which they're probably losing a lot of money by doing this. So then, yeah, he gets to the top eventually, and there's a zap him, and he falls.
They stun him.
Yeah.
I loved that sequence. That
Really?
whole sequence against the Sandcrawler, just because
There's
I've just never seen that before.
But there's such silly.
Also, very Indiana Jones kind of referencing a little bit, like when he's on the side of the tank,
Maybe just think about like, why doesn't he have like a jetpack like every other Mandalorian?
But that's the thing. I feel like maybe we're building up to that. He doesn't have his full set of toys because he doesn't have the jetpack. He doesn't have the rocket.
It's almost like a video game because he brings like that best car steel, which he makes a shoulder guard, because I don't know. I'm assuming the rest of his armor is not Mandalorian armor, like other than his helmet.
Or maybe certain pieces are.
Yeah, it's not very clear. I think the helmet and the shoulder pieces, but like I don't know, like because they show like when he's fighting the Rhino that like it's like falling off. So I'm like I don't know if that's Mandalorian armor. So like,
Right.
So then yeah, he falls unconscious, I guess.
Right. Then eventually we come back to McNulty's Ugnaught for help, and he tells him that the Jawas don't break, don't destroy, they steal, which is really cool. Like,
But we already knew that.
we did know that. We did know that for sure.
Yeah.
But then we have this awesome scene of him having to barter for his own parts.
Which I was kind of, I guess it shows how like, that kind of builds on the Jawas character. Because at first I was like, why would you? This guy like literally killed like 5 of you, and you guys are gonna like, hey, what do you want? You want to negotiate? We'll negotiate with you. Like, why would you do that? But I guess like it's like it shows how heartless they are. They don't care. Like I guess kind of like the main goal of theirs is also like because they basically they're like, hey, we want this egg, so you give us this egg, and we'll give you all the parts. And they just eat the egg. It doesn't.
That was my favorite part of the second episode because, like you say, we're exploring the Jawas. We're actually expanding on the mythology behind them.
Yeah.
We get to see kind of a juxtaposition between a race that's smart enough to strip apart a ship in a way that doesn't damage it and knows technology enough to sell and barter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're very barbaric at the end when they rip into the egg and they start eating it. Like,
yeah.
I just love that contrast.
We forgot to mention there's a scene earlier on where he's trying to, like, I guess he gets cut in the first fight of the show.
Right.
And he's trying to heal himself, and then, like, Yoda Puppet is keeps getting out of his little cradle and is trying to, like, help him with the Force. And I felt like that scene, like, it was badly edited because, like, it felt very obvious when he picked it up, like, that's a puppet. Like, it looked so fake. Kind of like, do you remember, what was that movie with, about the American Sniper? Where like they had the fake baby, and it was so obviously a fake baby.
I don't understand that, especially for such a quick scene. Just get a real baby.
But like like the Yoda. Anytime we would pick up the Yoda puppet, like it looks so clearly like a puppet, and like they had to do like weird cuts for it to work.
And they did it multiple times.
They did it multiple times, yeah. But like generally, I think the design of Yoda Baby's fine. But like that scene was really weird. And then because again going back forward, we have the he has to go get the egg, and he has to fight a rhino. I was actually expecting a Sarlacc. I'm like, oh, he's gonna have to like a baby Sarlacc.
I was expecting a Krayt dragon, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It felt like they were kind of setting that up.
No, it's just some dumb rhino looking thing, and he gets his ass kicked, like I said earlier, by the stupid rhino thing.
Which again, I kind of like. I kind of like that this guy, like, he doesn't have an easy time of all the stuff he's doing.
It's not even that. I don't mind him having to like really grind to get victory, but like he keeps getting saved last minute. Like he keeps like, oh, he's gonna die if he gets hit by this rhino. Oh, he's gonna get killed by this other porg, smorg. What log? What was it called? The thing that they rode.
Blurg.
Like he almost gets killed by Blurg. He has to get saved last minute. He gets almost killed by the rhino. He has to get saved last minute. Like that's not. I don't want my hero to constantly be being saved by someone else. They should be able to like even if it's a tough victory, it should be their victory.
Right. So then we have the big reveal, of course. Mandalorian's getting his ass kicked, and Baby Yoda uses the Force. He's pretty powerful for being a little.
Well, he knocks himself out. He also did you notice he almost made the exact same face Yoda does in like
I did notice
Attack of the Clones.
I did notice.
So he knocks himself out. Yeah, it's again like the whole Force thing. I don't like it. I really thought that this series was gonna be safe from the Force, and I felt like again like we're making a general comment based on like Yoda apparently is like the representation of his entire planet because like they're Force sensitive. They're really good at the Force.
Right. Those are all canon things now that this is establishing. They're all Force sensitive. They all have like a crazy affinity for it.
Yeah, or else it's just a weird coincidence that this one also is good.
No, I think that's what they're establishing.
Yeah,
sure.
So I didn't like that at all. So yeah, he defeats it.
I will say I like that he doesn't really know what it is. Clearly, he's very confused as to what the Force is. I don't even think he. They say like I can't even really explain what happened.
That goes back to like what they tried to say in the Force Awakens, which didn't feel right. Where it's like they would like, oh, Han Solo, oh, Luke Skywalker, oh, those things are true. Yeah, it felt really odd that those things were not commonly known. So I guess trying to go back to this fact that like the Force is not really known again. That
just goes to show what happens when different people are at the helm, though.
Yeah, that's
how they interpret Star Wars, how they interpret the way the Force should be used, or the way it should be talked about.
Yeah.
Because, for example, this doesn't bother me because this Yoda species, I'm okay with thinking that this particular species just is very strong in the Force and Force sensitive. But with Rey, there's no reason given to why she has such an ease, or at least there hasn't been, why she has such an ease of the Force and its powers.
That's so getting retconned. Don't you worry. Kylo Ren's gonna be wrong because J.J. Abrams hated it so much. He's gonna be like, no, we're gonna retcon this. So
as we're wrapping up here, I will ask you just a couple of questions. So the biggest one is, how does this compare for you? How does this stack up to what the new Disney regime has given us overall?
Well, this is probably the best thing they have so far. That's including their movies, which I found at best underwhelming, at worst really bad and detrimental to Star Wars as a franchise. Even like I don't want to give is Clone Wars theirs. That's not really theirs. That started under George Lucas, right? Yes. So they don't get Clone Wars. So what I have animated wise is Rebels and Resistance. And Rebels was pretty meh, and Resistance I didn't even try because I've heard it's really bad. So like it's easily the best thing they have, but that doesn't mean that it's that great either yet. I mean like obviously he's not going to give Yoda child to Empire. Obviously they're going to be after him, and it's going to be this whole thing. He's going to because they've already showed like a female warrior woman as well. So like obviously she's going to join the crew.
Gina Carano. Sure. That's I'm worried about that. She's not a very
good actor.
Good actress.
Oh, okay. So cross your fingers.
She's very great as a physical
presence. Okay. So I don't know. It's really good. It's probably the best thing they have on Disney. Maybe including the books. You've read the books. Would you say that this is better than what they produced book wise?
There are certain exceptions to the books that I think are just phenomenal. Anything by Claudia Gray, of course.
Oh, right. I forgot about...
Anything by James Luceno. Just any of the really prolific writers from the EU kind of days are still kind of doing a great job of it. But there are a lot of books that are just meh. There's a lot of just general new canon stuff that just is meh. And there is a lot of it in general, so that kind of dilutes the brand. But I also agree with you that this is the best thing that they've ever done. So, but jumping off of that, So you're going to keep watching. You're going to keep Disney Plus for this.
Thankfully, my loving girlfriend has decided to take the burden and is going to be paying for Disney Plus. So I will be watching it because of that. Because I wouldn't.
Would you on your own if you didn't have that?
No, because I don't think Disney Plus, the service, is worth it for one show that I would be watching. It could be like they could have The Wire, or they could have like the Game of Thrones on there. Like it wouldn't be enough for me to continue the streaming service because I feel like they don't have the material yet. But by the time they have the material, you're probably gonna increase the price. So like I don't know. I wouldn't. Do you think Disney Plus is worth it?
I mean, I'm extremely biased because I love Star Wars so much and I love Marvel so much. So for me, absolutely it is because those two things alone I could rewatch and watch. And again, for $8.99 compared to $12 to $14, I'm liking that price point a lot better. And I do know that there is going to be a lot more stuff as the time goes by. But kind of going off of what we're just talking about, do you think that The Mandalorian has a chance to kind of become like a cultural iconic show in the same way Game of Thrones was?
No, I don't think the same level. No, I don't know. There's something missing. I mean, I did try to I did suggest maybe more adult themes, more adult stuff in it.
Right.
I think that might be holding it back, but I don't know. Maybe the story itself. We don't know where the story's going, but it seems to be kind of not unique. Where it's like a character gets attached to something that they were supposed to hand over to another character, then those people have to chase them, and then he has to set up a.
Right.
It feels not. I don't want to say cookie cutter yet. We don't know. Because this episode did feel vastly different than the first episode.
But it is definitely following that kind of archetype of the lone gunner, the Western, the wolf and the cub kind of story.
And you see, the reason that like Game of Thrones worked so well is because it was so vastly different to what we've seen. The reason The Wire works is because it felt so real, The Wire, because they were able to encapsulate drug dealing and police work so well because David Simon or something, I can't remember what his name is. He was an actual reporter in the city of Baltimore, so like he understood how things operated. So like these are reasons why shows are so well. Like this might be the best Star Wars show ever, but when you compare it to like Game of Thrones or The Wire or any other like really good show, I don't know if it will compete.
All right, so let's put a bow on this. What would you rate these two episodes on a scale of 1 to 10 with decimals?
With decimals, actually no decimals at this point. I thought about it. I think I'm gonna give it a solid 8 so far. I think it's a solid start. We'll see where it's going. Hopefully, they find something interesting to do with the Yoda baby, even though I disagree with the entire MacGuffin, I guess. So yeah, an 8 for me.
I'm also at an 8.
Really? Okay.
I'm also at an 8.
You
would have thought I went higher. Right?
I would have thought because like the show like on IMDb is already sitting at like a 9.1 or something like that, something ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So it's like I thought that you'd be right up there with them. Like
I love the show. I love everything they're doing, but you can kind of see some of the faults.
Yeah.
Some definitely. Cinematically speaking and just directionally and just the production side of things, but they are definitely doing the right things. Like one of the things that I really love is that the Razor Crest is an old school real model done in the old ILM kind of style, the same way they did the X-Wings and the trench runs and the walkers, which is cool. Really cool because originally I think what it was is that Jon Favreau just wanted that just to have like kind of on his desk as a souvenir, but then they got so excited that they started to make a bunch of models for it, so it has a lot of practical in there.
Okay,
I really like that they're using the CGI very sparingly, and the way it's being used, it's effective and it's quick.
Yes,
it doesn't overuse it, which is something that I find really refreshing.
It's almost like the antithesis of George Lucas, where like. Instead of filling the frame with everything, a lot of it's minimalistic. A lot of it is just landscape and him walking and stuff like that.
Very little dialogue.
Which I'm very happy about. I feel like the less he talks, the better. Even I prefer the physical acting. I do. You know what? Another thing that I just thought about that I don't also like. I don't like the intro, which is like just showing a bunch of different random masks that don't really have a connection. So go C-3PO, oh, Kylo Ren, oh, Darth Vader, R2-D2. Like, what does this mean?
That whole, like, intro graphic for Star Wars is so weird. Just give me the crawl. Like, Kathleen Kennedy Lucasfilm president decided that the crawl should be reserved for the saga films and nothing else. I think that that's a very poor decision because it's part of the DNA of Star Wars, and also it really does help to get a little bit more of that information to get you in when you're starting the story not from the beginning.
Well, because I was really confused because it looks a lot like it looks a lot like the original Star Wars trilogy. So I'm like, oh, so this is during the Empire, and then then there's a reference to the New Republic. I'm like, oh, so this is set after.
Right. This is set 6 years after Jedi, but again, that would have been really useful to get in an opening crawl. So I don't understand what the purpose of separating it is.
Okay, is it opening crawl for the first episode only, or for each episode?
I want it for everything.
Really? See, I would be fine with it for the first episode, and then after that, we don't need the crawl. Because I think you want to have an introduction to what's going on right now, and then you don't really need that for each episode after that. So I think it would work fine with just the first episode, and then just have a weird a Star Wars, Mandalorian, and then start off whatever.
So we watched The Mandalorian, Ryan.
I've heard that, yes.
But we do watch other things.
Do we? On a weekly basis? Daily basis?
One could say.
One might say that. One might also say that, I don't know how to transition this. Anyway, we're going to talk about things we were watching. And
what have you watched this week, my friend?
Well, I think prior to the conversation we had last time, I was watching a show called B99, also known as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, less known as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, obviously, just B99. Still watching that. When we talked about it before, I was the beginning of season 5. At this point, I'm now halfway through season 6, which is the latest season out so far. So, my opinion hasn't changed. I think season 5 though was the best season. It has some of the best episodes in the series as well. They also did more of the in-depth thing that I wanted. I wanted to have more depth, more I want to say real topics.
Right, they do take it in way more serious places in certain episodes.
Yes, my favorite episode now is, it used to be the Halloween episodes you can pick up, but my favorite episode now is the interrogation, the one with Sterling Brown in it.
Yeah, that is a fantastic episode.
I was surprised on how well that worked because I was like, oh, did they? So basically, the episode is just they know this guy did it. They're very sure he did it, but they don't have any kind of evidence to. So they need to crack him. And the whole episode is Andy Samberg and Raymond
Andre Burgess.
Yeah, Andre Burgess, trying to break him in different ways, and I really liked the dynamic between Sterling Brown and the characters. He's a really good actor.
He's amazing. I'm
really glad that he's in more things. I wish they did better with him in Black Panther, but.
And it was so cleverly written because he basically. He was in control almost the entire time.
Yes,
yes. Very well thought out his crime.
Again, that's what when Brooklyn Nine-Nine focuses on the crime aspect, I really enjoy it. When it starts to kind of go away from hey, we're on vacation for this episode. Oh, we're going to a cop convention. It kind of takes away from what worked about the show is them working cases while still having this kind of humor and whatever.
Right. I'm so glad you brought up B99 again though, because. Last week when we talked about this, I forgot to mention my absolute favorite character, Mr. Craig Robertson, the Pontiac Bandit.
Yeah, he is definitely a fun thing each season.
Those are my favorite episodes of every season, I gotta say.
They do have a good dynamic. I will agree with you on there. The gimmick of he's gonna get away again is kind of I didn't meh. Worked the first couple episodes, but after 5 or 6 of them, you're it's kind of boring.
But his sister though,
I didn't like that one. I didn't like that twist. No,
really?
No. I like the twist that he wasn't dead. I was like, oh, good, he's not dead. But the fact that she comes in and is oh, she's gonna take over this new thing. I'm like, oh, this only worked when it was between these two characters, not this other lady that I didn't care for at all. So yeah, watch B99. What have you been watching?
I was trying to watch the Spider-Man animated series from the 90s because it did pop up on Disney Plus, but like I said, they didn't have all the episodes and
right.
They were kind of out of order. But I did watch a couple, and I just love that show, man. It's one of those things where, yes, it's aged, but nowhere near the Fox X-Men cartoon has aged.
That one. At least Spider-Man the anime series is watchable. I can't watch an episode of the X-Men animated series. Yeah.
Right. Right. So I think. The biggest things I really appreciate is that they really had a lot of foresight for that show. They wanted to involve the rest of the Marvel universe. They knew that they were going to go a certain kind of length, because even right away in the first episode he name drops the Avengers. He's kind of exposing us to the larger Marvel universe. I also really like that a lot of the restrictions, they do hold the show back, but then also it forced the show to be creative in a lot of ways. So for example, they weren't allowed to have guns with bullets, so everyone has
like laser guns. Yeah.
I mean, this version of the Marvel universe is super advanced in tech. Like,
you'd be like
laser guns. They have a lot of shield tech. They have a lot of like submersibles and just cool tech in general.
They have like giant scorpions and whatever. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty much like the most advanced, technologically speaking, version of the Marvel universe that we've seen, and it works. Yeah. Weirdly enough.
But the one thing I don't like about the restrictions, because you do have those cool aspects where you get to introduce this kind of interesting technology, but then you have the fact that like, oh, he can't actually punch people. Right. They won't so then you have these weird he runs into people. He has to web their eyes, and I guess they did a little kick, thankfully, so you get to kick them. But I don't know, there was they had to do a lot of jarring things to in close combat situations. So I didn't like that aspect.
Right. The other thing that has not aged well at all is the fact that this Peter Parker, he likes his monologues. He's always monologuing. He's always thinking out loud, and it's so awkward. But it's good too because it's really good world building that they're doing with this dialogue. But it's also very jarring.
Yeah, you don't see that very much anymore. Like anytime he's webbing somewhere, he's thinking about something, and if he's thinking about something, he's saying it to you, so you know exactly what he's thinking at every given moment. Really. I also what hasn't aged really well. I mean, is the kind of opening animation, I don't know, isn't there don't they use some kind of CGI in the opening animation?
Right, and they use it as well whenever he's traversing the city. They throw in that really early 3D stuff that they were really proud of, which is crazy because when you're a kid that looks really cool, but when you go back, whew, it's rough.
Also, they had a very interesting theme song that actually worked really well. I really like it, actually. I think it's really catchy.
Right. That's the only thing about the X-Men show that's aged really well.
Oh,
that's still just as awesome and classic.
Yeah, so you saw the Carnage one, right?
I did, and then I watched Night of the Lizard, which was actually the first episode. So yeah, it's crazy, actually. I got kind of both the bookends of the series.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the show is also very kind of new in the fact that, it had, these, up to 8-part episodes. Things would happen for 8 episodes.
Right.
They were interconnected.
Continuity, man. We love continuity around here. And actually, going back to Mandalorian, just real quick, one thing we kind of talked about this, how they show the storyboards at the end of all the episodes.
Yeah.
And it just felt so good because it lets you know, hey, we have a really clear plan of how each episode's going to work out. Whereas, I remember a lot of the stuff that comes out for the movies, it's you see art that you never see anything of. There was the art for Force Awakens that had half Vader, half Anakin, and all that random stuff that it's what are these storyboards for? I don't understand. They're clearly not in this movie. I don't know.
Right, yeah. And also, wasn't the anime series really connected to the comics, and they were pretty much kind of adapting, not word for word, but almost the entire stories of a lot of these things. I know Secret Wars was
right, and then they would change only very slight things that is actually totally appropriate for the show. So in Secret Wars, instead of the Beyonder just bringing everybody like it is in the comics, it's Spider-Man that actually gets to pick who comes, which is really cool.
Right, yeah.
It's his show, right?
Exactly.
And they also tie it into the Madam Web. He's being trained for a bigger purpose.
He's always stopping him every 5 seconds when he's in the middle of doing something.
I just really love that show. For anybody that is nostalgic about it, even though they don't have everything on Disney Plus, they only have the certain episodes, definitely give it a watch.
Watch while you can, yeah.
What else have you been watching?
Well, this might not count, but I'm going to use it anyway. I've been watching my girlfriend play Pokemon Sword. Yeah, Pokemon Sword. So I've been watching that, and I don't know, new Pokemon. They've really dumbed it down. They made everything so easy. Every 5 seconds, I'm looking at the screen. I'm so they just healed you right after you fought all these things. Well, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I guess it makes it more accessible, but I think having that difficulty makes the game better, though. It makes it you put more hours into it because of it. You have to grind a little bit in order to do well. But in this game, you just kind of show up to every gym and you just kind of beat them. And
right. It honestly feels like they're innovating, but in the wrong way, where they're kind of making it easier every time. Every time it's easier. Every time it's more padding. Every time it's less involved.
Yeah.
But I get it though, because with that franchise, with that whole IP, like it's still going strong, and they don't need to innovate if it's still selling.
Yeah.
If I may, as the one who's playing the game, what they need is an ability to turn off item selection, and instead of like a hard button, because that would mean rewriting a lot of the game, if they just minimized access to free items
Okay.
and like brought down the winning prize money, that would go a long way in making the game harder to progress through.
And you're new to playing Pokemon games, right? And you who hasn't experienced like the previous games of realizing that or realize it's too easy.
Yeah, playing through, I was like, this needs to have a higher difficulty. I'd say that the base difficulty is for like younger audience, like 6-year-olds playing the game. No, like no offense to anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like it's based for a much younger audience than the people who are actually going to be purchasing it, which is the nostalgic generation, our generation, people in their early 20s to their 30s.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You also suggested an interesting idea of like a difficulty kind of selection, which I don't think they've ever done in Pokemon.
Well, yeah, but I think that would be a lot more programming, because you'd have to rewrite a lot of the way that the story is, because it is a very strict storyline that doesn't give you a lot of freedom. So they'd probably have to do a lot more work to do a difficulty setting versus just limiting access to things.
I definitely agree that it would be a lot more work, but I think it's effort that they really should put in, because they have the resources. I mean, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, they have the resources. They could do it.
Yeah.
And it just stinks to me of laziness. Like, it's weird not to have a difficulty setting. Most games have that. That's a very common overall kind of practice.
Yeah. No. Also, the gimmicks aren't good enough, I think, to kind of justify different games at this point. Because like the gimmick in this one is like it's like almost like giant kaiju battles, where it's like these Pokemon grow really big, and then you guys fight for 3 rounds, and then that's it. It feels like it's such a waste of an idea. Like, the idea itself was already kind of lame. It's like, oh, these things just get bigger. Oh, okay, whatever.
Whereas when we contrast with something like we were just talking about with the Mario Odyssey, where what a great innovation to have the hat become a way of possessing enemies and using their powers, and what a fun mechanic that really carries that whole game through.
Oh, exactly, yeah. Mario is the best example of innovation, because most games that they have, like, they come out with, do innovate on the idea, because before it was just a side scroller, get from here to there, but now it's like crazy. It's like, hey, you need to pick up like 50 moons, and they're just everywhere. Some of them are really easy, some of them are incredibly hard, but I really enjoy that kind of like that innovation, which is something Pokemon really needs to have at this point.
But
like,
they won't.
Like
they don't need to.
One innovation I think that would be so minor that I think they should add is that, like, I think the gyms, I don't like the idea of like themed gyms as much, where it's like, all these Pokemon are going to be fire, all these Pokemon are going to be water, because then it's so easy to beat them. You just need one of the opposite type. What I would do, I would basically have like the main boss monster be the fire type, and then every other one could be like a different Pokemon. Because then that would force you to use more than one Pokemon, because like people, you can pretty much play the entire game with playing one character, and you might be fine. Like, you might not even die once. I don't know. I think that's a good way to kind of innovate the gyms, because they make it more realistic.
Right, and these are. I feel like these are very, very simple innovations that we're just kind of coming up with. But I just wish that it would be implemented, because these are really, really great ideas. But it just seems like they know that it's going to sell anyways.
Yeah.
So why bother?
Well, yeah, because people were really mad that there was only like half the Pokemon ever are going to be in this game. People were really mad about that. People were mad about the animation, which I don't really care about. Like, it looks good. Like, if the game looked horrible, I would understand that. But the game looks good. It might not be the best looking Switch game.
Right.
But, like, again, I guess we come from an era when, like, San Andreas looked amazing. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, like, anything on the PS2 looked great. And it's like, no, not anymore.
Not anymore.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. So I've been watching her play it. She seems to really enjoy it. So I don't think I'll ever play it. She won't ever let me, I don't think so.
Right.
All right, so I guess, because going back to Disney Plus here, I've heard you've been watching the prequels again. I don't know why you're wasting your time with this. You have better things to do with your life.
So get this.
Okay.
I watched Mandalorian, and it hyped me up. It really did.
Okay.
And there is a lot, they're really tying it into the Clone Wars a lot. They go out of their way to show that he's got some kind of PTSD from the Clone Wars, and he's obviously some kind of orphan. I really like the word foundling, by the way, for orphan. I'm pretty sure it means orphan. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, that was.
It's better than youngling, though. I gotta tell you.
Oh, you just remind me of something else I don't like with Disney Plus. Thank you. And there's more to talk about bad about them. They have the wrong subtitle speed because I like to watch stuff with subtitles so I don't miss what they're saying. But like, the subtitle will appear way before they say the thing, and by the time they're saying it, like it doesn't match, and I've already forgotten what they said because I'm trying to focus on the subtitle and watch what they're saying at the same time.
Yeah, that's extremely frustrating.
Not matching, and I don't know why. It's not that hard to do. Netflix does it fine. So like, it's really bothering me that they did that because I remember seeing the word foundling. I'm like, that's an interesting word, but like, yeah. So like, that is interesting. So then, that inspired you to watch the prequels, like all three of them?
It did inspire me to kind of go back and watch the prequels, and I feel like I have such a unique perspective on the prequels because we're from that generation. We grew up with those. Those were our Star Wars movies. So there's a lot of nostalgia and joy attached to that for me. But I also, once I got to a certain age, we've all seen the Plinkett reviews, and I do agree with all the criticisms. So it's like you're almost of two minds that are exactly down the middle. Like, technically and
story-wise, character-wise, everything-wise, yeah.
Right, you know that the execution is wrong, but you still have that nostalgia and you still have that love. And you honestly, like, once you accept all those flaws and you start to kind of look at the things that you do like, there's a lot in there that I do like. I love how different they are from the original trilogy.
Which is the problem with the sequels, I think they're called?
Right, the sequel trilogy. That's exactly the problem, where they went too much in the other direction and tried to make it too similar. But
yeah.
I love the world building.
Yes, those two things are definitely one of the reasons of the prequels.
And there are some really, really great performances in there that are wasted on terrible execution. Surprisingly, Natalie Portman in the first movie was actually trying.
Really?
You could tell that she's at certain scenes, not all.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay.
You could tell that she actually was caring, at least for that first movie. Then it kind of goes down the drain after that. But Ewan McGregor, definitely.
You're obviously missing the best part of the prequel trilogy. And that would be the Vice Chancellor Mas Amedda, who was Vice Chancellor to Valorum and Palpatine. That is one of the reasons to watch the series.
You missed that he is also the Grand Vizier?
Well, that's a spoiler. They don't need to know that he becomes Grand Vizier yet. We're talking prequels here. So in prequels, Vice Chancellor to Valorum and Palpatine. Look him up, guys. He's the real star of the series.
Right, and there are still those sequences even within the bad execution that are just fantastic. The pod race still holds up.
One of the best lightsaber duels is in the first one. I know Plinkett made a good point for why it's not that good, but I think it works.
Oh, I love it.
I think it's great.
Oh, I love it.
Everything works in that scene. The music, the choreography, all of that.
Then in Attack of the Clones, we have the Jango Obi fight. Oh, I love that.
That one's fine. Yeah.
In the rain.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Jango Fett's actually using a lot of his stuff. He puts up a fight, which is awful later on when he just doesn't do anything when Mace is coming at him. But
it's because his jetpack was damaged by one of those rhino things. Why did they like rhinos so much? Just notice that
That's true. It's not the same creature in Mandalorian.
But it looks the same.
Similar family.
I guess so. Yeah. Different Pokemon, I guess.
Right, but there is a lot of good to be found in the prequels, even within its flaws.
Hey, who knows? Maybe we'll get more in depth in that on a later podcast. Well, I think that's pretty much covers it for this podcast.
That about does it. Of course, I'm Carlos Sorto, the optimist,
and I am Ryan, the pessimist.
You can follow me on Twitter at The Brown Nerd and on Instagram at Notorious2099. And you can follow Ryan on his YouTube channel, Glass Half Empty.
But also don't follow me in real life because that would be very, very creepy. Please don't.
Thank you for listening.
All right, bye guys.